Sorry, guys. If anybody's there yet. Power failed. I hate it when that happens here. It does happen occasionally, but we had a, I don't know, surge spike failure or something. Everything went dark, and then the power came back on. And that'll end your live stream real quick. So what can you do? Anyway, it's probably about time I went anyway, so I'll just hang on here for 10 minutes and see who shows. Oh, we've got 36 people back. Well, it's an intimate group now, but that's okay. Yeah, I don't know. The power just shut off. I need one of those power regulators that I was talking about earlier, the expensive one from Japan. In those situations, that would handle that. But anyways, Jay Big says, thank you very much for rekindling my passion for guitar. What amp guitar combo did you use for the intro riff of Into Focus? It's a treble booster with, which telly is it? It's my Sir T that you don't see much. It's a T I need to get a little bit of work done on, actually. It's in the other room, but it's just a 50s, early 50s style T, honestly, and I had it tuned way down to C sharp, I think. But I'm using a treble booster. Probably, I think I used maybe the divided by 13 Dynaranger, I think. So it's a Rangemaster style with a telly, basically. And what amp is it? Probably the SL68. I was going for a super snarly MIDI kind of situation. So that's what it is. Ben Coombe says, well, you got 2 hours in. Exactly. Yeah, we almost got the whole, I mean, I should go soon anyway. So I'll just hang for like 10 minutes. But do you use any high cuts or low cuts when using the Helix? Any special EQ tricks, says Gordon Parrish? No, not really. I don't do that with IRs. I'll EQ if I record something and mix it, but I don't do the high cut, high pass thing to smooth out the highs or any of that kind of stuff. And I don't do it in the PT-15 either. I mean, really. So, yeah. Paul says struggling with the chicka technique with higher gain. Think heavy China Grove. That's interesting. Loosening chord grip leaves too many overtones. I'm having to lay all fretting fingers over the strings. Not ideal. Things like that, I don't think about that much. The muting technique, it's just like you just sort of develop it. Maybe use a little less gain, until it sounds good to you. It's like balance of like always a little less gain than you're comfortable with is kind of a good thing, I think. And then practice to get up to the level where you feel good about your consistency with that level of gain or whatever, your playing technique. Yeah, we'll get 154 people back. That's cool. Thanks, guys. Electricity is important, says Preston Smith. It's amazing how fast we discover that in these certain situations. Now it just said I was offline. God, I don't know what's going on. We've got some inconsistency going on here. You guys hear me okay? Just let me know. You guys hear me? You guys hear me? You guys hear me? Sage words, a little less gain, says Evan Ward. I hope you can hear me. A little buffer, still on for only a second offline. So weird. It's sketchy around here. What's going on in the world? Is this coronavirus related? Any chance of a Cosmo gig again? I had fun going up there. I would love to do another clinic at Cosmo if they would have me. For sure. SD Design says he likes certain Soundgarden songs like The Day I Tried to Live. That's a great one. Crazy tuning on that one with all roots and fifths. What kind of Comet amp do you have? It's sitting right there actually right now. It's that head. It's a Concord that's had a little modification to it to be a little bit tighter in the front end. Just one cap. Pete, love your flavor. Thoughts on bands that might be out of wheelhouse, like NoFX or Wilco? You know what? I know nothing about Wilco. I feel so bad about that. And I've listened a little bit at different times, and my friends go like, dude, what is your problem? Why don't you listen to that stuff? And I need to just put the time in and go and listen. But no, I can't offer too much on either of those bands. Okay, what's my... out of the wheelhouse band. War on Drugs. I love that band. You guys ever listen to that guy? Little shades of Brian Ferry going on, like Roxy Music or something, but he's got his own thing going on, and he's a total guitar nut. Watch his guy from War on Drugs. His you have great solos and stuff, and really soulful playing, great tones, beautiful, like great. If you like simplicity and Gilmore and stuff like that, maybe you'll like. But his Premier Guitar Rig Rundown is great. The guy from the War on Drugs, fantastic. I can't even think of his name right now, but he's really cool, kind of old soul kind of player. What's your motivator to pick up the guitar when you're not feeling it? I don't have to look that far these days. I just flip on Instagram or something. Go, what the hell is that? And then I like open up, learn something, or YouTube. For me anyway, it just works. But Preston says the highlight of my week is your live feed. Thanks, Pete. Or thanks, and I really appreciate that, Preston. Thank you. And it's my one of the highlights of my week too. I look forward to coming here every week. I really do. Do I find it hard to use delay in front of the amp compared to loop? Only if I'm using tons of gain. In front of the amp, to me, the problem using it in front is, generally speaking, when you change your distortion levels, then you got to reset the delay. That's the only thing. Like, that's the only difference, is that it's so gain dependent. So if you always put your distortion level or gain in front of the amp about the same place, so you can set the pedal the same, and then it's not that hard. But I love the tone of delay in front of an amp. I really do. Won't Get Fooled Again. Looks like you enjoyed playing that song on the tour. What do you think of Pete Townshend's guitar playing style? I love it, and he's my original guitar hero. That's Ian Wilson. Pete was really the major reason I probably started playing. I mean, the first song I ever learned was I Can't Explain on the guitar, and his sort of proto-punk, I don't know, but also like he was so deep compositionally. It wasn't just the aggressive thing. It was 515 and those gorgeous, like those intros. I don't know, he just always struck a chord, not to Pinball Wizard. I guess there's a lot of that in my playing when you think about it, right? Because you always hear me, I'm always doing the kind of like the stuff like that. So when we think about how's it go? Why can't I play Pinball Wizard? Right. Whatever. I haven't tried to play that for a while, but there it is. So that whole movement, that whole compositionally, where you're moving one that, in the harmony, one note's moving, maybe one note's ascending while another one's descending. I don't even know what you call it. If I was a proper student of music, I would know, but all that shit makes its way into my playing still, or the songs I write and stuff as well. Yeah. What else we got here? M. Kara says, agreed. Townsend made rhythm cool. My original guitar inspiration, for sure, for me, is the Grohl Signature 335. Is that a Grohl? Yeah, no, it's a Dave Grohl. That's M. Karis up in the super chat. It's one of the original ones that came out in 2008. And I busted it out the other day because I haven't played it for a while, and I put strings on it, and so it's got fresh strings. So great guitar, this one. Neck's a little chunky. Wish it was a little more like a little less shoulder, but it's a great guitar. It's number 286 of the first run of 300 that they did back in 2008. So I had to get one because I love trainees, and I didn't have a trainee, and it's like just a badass, like, so I played this with Cornell quite a bit, actually. I used to use it on What tunes did I use it on? Can't remember. I played with Tyoshi a lot, but as well. I used to play the song Yuji on it, if there's any Tyoshi fans. It's just a good 335. But anyways, it stays in tune pretty good with the 6 on the side headstock too, straighter string pull and a regular 335. Do I think Sir will ever make a more affordable signature guitar for me, or any guitar they make? By more affordable, I mean it depends on what range you got to. They'd have to produce something to be like a huge. If you're talking about $1,000 guitars, no, I don't think so. I don't think that's their bag. Not unless at some point down the road they partner with somebody else to make a, you know what I mean? Like do some sort of thing with somebody. Who knows? Sometime in the future maybe they do something like that. But I don't think the problem is building things in California just costs what it costs. So actually, my guitar, I always say this, but I know it's not a cheap guitar, but my signature guitar, because it's they tell me anyway, because it's a set spec. So when they used to make their Pro Series, right? One of the ways that they could keep the cost down on the Pro Series guitar was it was how do I say this? Like, it's not a custom guitar. It was a set spec. So it's easier to, when somebody orders one, it's like, well, there's 4 different colors and there's the spec. So you just build it. And that makes it easier than when you're having to go, oh, we need this certain carve and the guy wants a certain thing on the headstock, and it's going to be a side jack and stuff. Like each guitar that when it's a custom order, sir, it takes a lot more, operationally, it's a more difficult instrument to build is what they told me. So what you're getting with the Signature Series guitars is essentially, it's sort of like their old, when they were the Pro Series instruments or whatever, but there's that added, the artist obviously has to earn a royalty and things like that on the guitars. So there's that. But other than that, it's like making a set spec instrument. So long story short, my guitar is $34.95. And I've said it often on here. If you try and find a custom shop Fender for less than $3,700, I can't find one. Go online and try and find a new custom shop Fender instrument that's not something deeply discounted by a dealer because they've had it hanging on the wall for 3 years or something. But you will not find one. They start around $3,800 for a custom shop Fender. My guitar is $34.95, so it's $300 less than the cheapest custom shop Fenders I've been able to find online. So for a U.S. built custom shop instrument, I feel like it's fair. Now, I know that doesn't help people if they want to spend $1,000 on a guitar. So, it's a tough one. But anyways, that's that. That's that story. Yeah, Ben says custom shop Fenders are like $5K. Yeah, if you look hard enough, you'll find a run-of-the-mill, like, 56 Strat, like whatever, team built one or whatever, and they're like $37.95 or something now, or more. I don't know. Let's take a look. I'm gonna look and see. So Fender, let's say 1956 Strat custom shop. Run of the mill, like whatever. Not relict and all that. Faded 2-color sunburst. Here it is, $38,950. For the basic 56. $39.50 looks like the standard price now that you see from Sweetwater. Yep, that's what I'm seeing. Now, if I look for other guitars, I don't know, Fender Custom Shop. Let's take a look. Fender Custom Shop. Here's a Telly for $3,800. Limited edition 70th anniversary broadcaster. Okay, I do see one relic Telly here. That's $3,250. That's the cheapest one I've seen in a long time. And here's a similar Telly Closet Classic Faded Nocaster Blonde, $3,450. So $3,500 basically. But $3,750 is what I'm seeing. The most of these, Journeyman Relic. These are team build instruments. A lot of guitars in the $4,000, $3,750, $4,000 range. And I guess those other ones are just, and the $3,950 figure seems to be the one that pops up most often. So my guitar is $3,495. You know, there you have it. That's all I got. Rasmus, says Jim. Yeah, Rasmus was a guitar that they made years ago that were overseas made, but they were set up in the U.S. Sir factory and all the final finishing. And I think fretwork and stuff was done at Sir. Maybe the final fret dress or setup. Maybe just final setup and stuff was done there. I can't remember. Don't quote me on any of this. But the reality was that they did it for a little while, and then they just felt like it was a pain in the ass because to keep up with the quality, nothing was ever left the factory that wasn't awesome quality. But sometimes there would be inconsistencies, and then they'd be like, well, we can't send this one out, or we got to do so much work on this one to get it to spec that whatever, right? Like, and then they were finding that it was just like this is too much effort. It's not like not a great business model, basically, because it wasn't paying off like what you'd think. Like an inexpensive guitar is like, oh, we'll make some money on these guitars because we can offer a lower price guitar. Sorry, my shoes untied. It just wasn't, didn't seem to be that great. So that's kind of what you saw those original Pro Series models, or some of them come from and stuff. And they tried to bring originally they were $19.95 or 19 something like that, like right around $2,000 for those early, and somebody's having a freezing up problem with the stream. I don't know, maybe there's internet problems today. I'm not sure. Whenever a stream's freezing, it could be on your end, or it could be on my end, or it could be somewhere in the middle, and maybe not everybody's experiencing it, but others are. It's just hard to say. But anyways, it's 140. I should split pretty quick, guys. I'll go to 145 and then I'll go. But a couple more things. Banjard says he's looking for a reverb to go with a high gain tone, but I don't like it that a reverb takes away the dry signal. Can you recommend a reverb, or do you know a trick around this? Well, you got to do wet dry thing. Why don't you use a wetter box from Daniel at the Gig Rig, and then you can blend your effects in wet dry style, and you won't have that issue. You run your reverb 100% wet. So that's the trick around it. That'd be the best way, and it is great. There's a demo on my channel of the wetter box from the Gig Rig. Check it out. It's a mixer. Yeah, see, some of the other people are saying, Dan Booth and stuff, saying everything's okay, everything's fine. So when you see a interruption in the stream, that could be anything. It could be, everybody else is saying that it's working fine now. So it's not always on my end. And sometimes this is just what happens. What do you think about the Bogner Burnley? Nice to see you, says Stonehill Studio. Thanks for being here. Good pedal. I remember it. I don't remember exactly what it sounded like, but I remember it was a great distortion overdrive that I enjoyed. All those Bogner pedals with the little Neve transformers, I liked all of those. They sound really good, and the Burnley was cool. Generally speaking, I like Bogner's distortion pedals. Like, I use the blue, and I love it, actually. I think it's a great pedal. And I quite like his all the pedals that I've heard from Bogner. The Lyndhurst compressor, really nice compressor with boost and a real nice vibe to it. He makes the pedals are really good, for sure. Yeah. The Burnley Smoke says LPD pedals. I agree. Yeah, it was good one, as I remember. Pete, what's your favorite pedal that's no longer made? Probably the Hyper Fuzz. It's the first thing that came to mind. It's a great fuzz pedal. I love that fuzz pedal, actually, and really cool. Exotic X Blender, it says Evan Ward. I think that's another mixer. Is that right? For doing wet, dry, wet. Steven says he's off to bed soon. You take care, my friend. He says, stay safe, everybody. I agree. Everybody, please stay safe. I concur, I should say. Yeah. Can you recommend a Univibe type pedal? Says Jimmy. The little ones from Croatia, the Vibe Machine, I think they're called. I mean, they're not little; they're the size of a Phase 90 or whatever, same size as like this pedal. But those are probably my favorite for like a really authentic sounding and a reasonable size pedal. Really good sounding vibe. Anybody else? Fuzzlord FU2 is a great hyperfuzz. Is there a boutique hyperfuzz? Like somebody makes one? I didn't know that. That's cool. Learn things all the time. Sir Reactive Load or Mic'd Cab. They both work. They both sound good. I'm enjoying miking my cab these days here at my studio, but I bought that old black backloaded cab. It lives in the other room and it stays with the mics in the right position and it sounds awesome. And I've got Neves here and all that. And truth be told, when I play the reactive load and I go back and forth, it's like, they're both great sounds. It's like two different shades of greenback good, you know? So for most people, it's not even an option. If you don't have a studio where you can crank an amp, and not many people have that. If you have that, it's fun, and to mic it and all that. Now live, to me, there's no contest anymore. I just use the reactive load because I know it's consistent and the sound guy loves it and it sounds great in the PA every night. You don't have any bleed. There's so many advantages. So I don't really see the advantage to miking an amp live anymore. I don't know why it would be preferable to a great IR, just the bleed factor and the factor that it's never going to be as consistent because the mic's going to move a little bit from night to night. And, so, yeah. Okay. Lake Placid Blue, sir. Just a quick hello, Jason says. Okay. You make me get up. I'm so old. No, I'm just kidding. I kid. There it is. It does look nice with the roasted neck, right? Maple. Pretty cool. This guitar originally had a matching headstock and then with a white shelf on it, with the hybrid headstock, and it was really cool. But I didn't like the neck shape. It was really thin. And I dig this one now. It's cool. It's got the 60C standard neck shape, I think, and a 9 to 12 radius, which is really nice if anybody's ordering a Sur and they want a little bit of a vintage thing and a little bit of a modern thing. The 9 to... It's really nice shape. Bulldozer Guitars in the super chat, top chat thing, and I appreciate that. It says you watch a bunch of vids on YouTube and loved your tone and playing during the classic rock show gigs. Thanks, man. You have earned a coffee. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, my friend. Do you know Mark Mania? Never met him. Know of him though. And I remember when he played with Kevin Gilbert in the Toy Matinee. So Tim Pierce played on the record, and then Mark did the live duties. And that's where I'd first heard his name back then. And then he had some solo albums out and stuff as well in the 90s, I think. And then I kind of lost track of him a little bit after that, but I'm not sure. Is he still out there doing stuff and rocking out? What do I think of stainless steel frets? I like them basically. I use them on guitars, and if it's on especially a Strat style guitar, a newer style instrument, I don't have any qualms about using them. Not really a fan on Les Pauls, more out of superstition than anything, but they're cool. They last forever and they stay. The only thing that really sucks is when they do get a nick in them. I hate that ding 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 ding. You know what I'm talking about? Ding 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 ding. that drives me crazy. And they will get pitted by the strings if you put the guitar in a case and you don't use that like fret protector Sur gives you. Use those damn things, because nothing worse than being out on the road and then one day you pick up the guitar and ding 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 ding. Ah, shit. That's an awful feeling. Every time you bend, you go over that thing and it sucks. So it's like a flat tire on your car. But generally speaking, I like the stainless steel frets. What's your favorite wah pedal? You want to know what the best one, honestly, that I've ever tried is? I gotta say, my favorite, I think, that I tried was the Vertex, which is, I'm going to stir up some shit, and it was a BBE, of course, right? The BBE wah that he chose to, buy a bunch of and then copy and all that. Put his own plate on it. But the BBE wah who actually, it's kind of funny because the guy that designed it is evidently a really brilliant designer. I've heard a little bit about him recently about some other projects, but it's another story. But anyways, he knows what he's doing, and they basically, I think, an old Clyde McCoy or whatever they picked, and he just copped a great wah, and I got that Vertex one. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I used it on my board for a while. And actually mine kind of crapped out, like where the switch wouldn't work anymore. I should get it looked at and just get it fixed because, man, what a good sounding wah it is. But it's the $89 VBE wah, just sound great. Now, that said, I've been using the Crybaby Mini on my board just because it's mini and I need a small one, and it sounds fine. It works good. I'm not really a wah aficionado so much, where some people are really into it. And I don't know. I like the EVH wah too. It has a neat thing in the middle, especially for gain. It's got a cool thing. The Petrucci wah. That's pretty badass. I did a video of it on my channel. Check it out. Real throaty, cool, dark kind of voice to it. That's got a lot of balls, like for gain. Really cool. Up there in the Evan Ward in the super chat, he's got his mask on. He's social distancing. Thanks, my friend. I appreciate that. I do. Okay, I gotta go. I get so sucked into this stuff. I could just sit here all day. You guys are awesome. Have you found any quiet or silent single coil Strat pickups that sound authentic? Any that sound good with hum in the bridge and 500K pots? You can do wiring so that your pots see the right. A good tech can wire your guitar so that it'll see the correct impedance, I think, or K or whatever that is. Not impedance, but right? What's the K out? The 500K, 250K, whatever they call it. You can, not impedance, but you get the drift. The single coils want 250 and the humbucker wants 500, and like Sir does that on their guitar. I became Joel Walsh. The single coils want to see 250 and the humbuckers, it sounds better at 500. So yeah, and there's a way to wire a guitar like that. So where you can turn a 500K into a 250 with a couple of the right parts in there when you do the switch. Noiseless, it's a little bit tougher. My Sirs all have the virtual or whatever SS. I've been mixing up my products here. The SS2 or silent single coil SSC2 or whatever system in them. So most of my Fender style or whatever that style influenced instrument are Sirs. So I've got that covered with their system. But other than that, stacks and stuff, haven't really got too into those. I know that Tim Pierce, I think he's got a couple videos out on the DiMarzios, the virtual vintage and stuff, and they're supposed to be pretty cool. There's still a stack style pickup. This is the thing with some of the newer stack style designs. All they do is they have one coil that's only got like a few turns on it, I think, and then the main coil that's got tons of turns, but then they wire it like a stack, and that's how it's doing the supposedly staying close to single coil tone, but still is a stack style design as I understand it. The original stacks, like Duncan's and stuff, they would do like a stack probably where it was both coils were like equal, like strength, and those never sounded quite the same as true singles. Just to say they sound bad, they just wouldn't be like true singles. So I think with the virtual vintage and stuff, they've got this kind of like wildly offset sort of coil design or something like that. That's how it's been described to me. So give those a look. I've heard good things about them. I haven't personally tried them. I just haven't needed to because my Sirs all have, like when John's answer to that question is always, well, get a Sir, because it's got this silent system in it. So that's why I haven't experimented. Otherwise, I probably would have experimented with other stack pickups and stuff. What do I think of the vintage Dirty Finger pickups compared to the new Dirty Fingers and Dirty Fingers Plus? I haven't had a lot of experience with those either. Dirty Fingers I know are only the early 80s Gibson. Do I have any? No, probably not in any of the guitars that I have. I mean, my SG has those hot, 490R or whatever the hell they're called. They're like a hot 14K Alnico 5 sort of situation. Kind of like that pickup, like in that one guitar, it only does one thing, but it sounds cool in my SG, so I left it in there. I'm sure it's not that far off from it. Is it Dirty Fingers a ceramic magnet pickup? I don't know. I'm not sure. Let's look. Let's take a look. Let's see. it is on Sweetwater's site. It's ceramic, and it's it's not really my thing, like ceramic magnets. So I came to understand the magic of the super distortion. After I became convinced that's probably what Ed used on a Van Halen 1. But it's a different sound. It's that slightly more. It's that flattened, mid-scooped, really aggressive. I don't know. I always like the tone in the mid-range of a Alnico 5, or now I use Alnico 4 for my Thornbuckers. But that type of. If I was going to do a hot pickup, I liked a hot PAF Alnico 5 style thing, or maybe a JB at the the 14K at the crazy end. But that's quite a mid-range kind of sound, And then the super distortion has always had that scooped sound to me. But then I realized, a super distortion into a crank plexi. There it is, So I have mixed feelings about them. So Dirty Fingers, long story short, is not a pickup I would probably want to use for my particular tone, but might work well for a certain thing. What's his name use him? What's his name? That's terrible. John Sykes. Show some respect, Thorn. John Sykes. Didn't he use Dirty Fingers? I think it's probably that 1987 Whitesnake sound. I think. John says, Pete, came to watch you in Yeovil in UK in January, which is fab. Thanks, man. Are you returning next year? I would love to. I'm sure I'll be there. Have I met Eddie Van Halen? Says Paisley. Yeah, he's a pal. I first met Ed about 10 years ago, and he was very, very sweet to me. And someday I'll tell the whole story. But he's a great guy, and I still speak to him and all that good stuff. So he's awesome. So you're saying EVH used a super distortion pickup on Van Halen 1. Says, and having said what I just said, I will never ask him a question like what you just asked me. It's one thing about it. Leave him alone when it comes to that's just my opinion. Respect his originality when it comes to tone, and don't tread on the gear, because he likes to. I think he likes to be an original and stuff like that. So I get very paranoid about asking that fellow guitar related questions when it comes to things like that. But from the photos around 1977, early 1978 of the guitars that he had and stuff like that, there's these Mighty Mite pickups that he was using at the time. You'll find pictures of a rosewood necked black Strat that's got a cream pickup in it, and you'll recognize it as looking like a super distortion. And I think he was heavily into that style of pickup. And there's also the Duncan Custom, which came out in around 79. They put out a catalog, and the Duncan catalog, an ad, in like Guitar Player magazine. And the ad said Duncan Custom, and in quotes or in parentheses, Van Halen's pickup, and he got really pissed about that, evidently, because what had happened is evidently Duncan had wired a pickup for Van Halen, like maybe rewound, and Ed was using it, I guess, for a time, whatever, that rewound pickup. Duncan Custom. Look up on the internet what a Duncan Custom is. It's a 14K ceramic magnet pickup, exactly like a DiMarzio Super Distortion, or like a Mighty Mite 1200 or whatever they're called clone. So it's a good way to end the show here today. A little bit of super geek, but yeah. So around that time, between the photos with the Mighty Mite, the Duncan Custom, all that stuff, and that's why I think Van Halen won. Now, Alnico 8 in the Ibanez Destroyer, different guitar, different, slightly different sound for that guitar, but probably, at least 60% of the record was probably done on the Frankie. And I think that's what was in that guitar. If not, who knows? Maybe it was that friggin' black Strat that you see all the pictures of, because he was using that guitar in 77. So head off now and enjoy your Sunday and do a little research into some of this stuff and see what you think. There's stuff out there about it, but I really think that's the part of the Van Halen 1 sound is you try it into a plexi. But by the way, it's in my SL68 video if you want to hear the super distortion into the cranked SL68. You can hear what I did with it, my SL68 demo that I did 9 years ago or something. I got to split, you guys. Yeah. Jody says the Duncan Custom in my Maple Neck Strat played in a Bogner Ecstasy Classic Blue Channel, pure EVH. It's got this flattened kind of sound. I don't know how else to describe it, where it's just aggressive and it's sizzle and stuff. I think the big thing, by the way, is also maybe the speaker, the JBL, because he had the JBLs with the aluminum cones in the upper part of his cabinets back then. And if you've ever heard the soloed tracks off of Ain't Talking About Love that floated around on the internet, where you can hear the individual, I have the whole session in a Logic file, which is awesome, by the way. But I mean, drums, bass, vocals, everything isolated, alternate vocal takes. It's so cool. But and you got the individual guitar tracks in there with the dark one and the bright one. And the bright one will take your head off. And the sound somehow was made out of blending those two sounds and try and make a greenback sound as bright as that bright track sounds. For the life of me, I can't do it. And I think that it's really, I just think it's a 57 dead center on a JBL is what it is. But we'll never know. And that's okay. It's part of the magic. Okay, guys. Take care. Yeah, D120 says Ben. That's right. You guys have an awesome week. And somebody said, thanks for recommending the Taylor 314 IRs for the Helix. You bet. Give them a try. They're out there on the internet. Just search for them on Google. You'll find those. They sound great. Load them in an IR loader and try your acoustic into them and be prepared to be like, holy shit, that's incredible. There are pictures of the JBLs as well. Yeah, you'll find a picture of there's a picture of Roth sitting on top of his cabinets, and they've got the JBLs in them. You can find that. I've only found a couple of them, but trying them right now, says Trolls to Gene. What do you think? How do they sound? Trying the IRs? Really good stuff. Yeah, it's cool, right? Takes all the piezo quack out and just rolls off the weird stuff and sounds kind of cool, right? Needs a little EQ and stuff, but it works really good. What's your favorite potato mash or French fried? Definitely fried potatoes is a bad idea. All that acrylamide, just from a health perspective. I love French fries as a dirty treat every now and then, but I know they're not good for me. Potato chips too, same deal. All right, you guys, rock on, and wash your hands. See you next week.